and welcome back to another episode of SQL Interview Insights. Today we are going to solve an interview problem which was asked at Meta. I got this interview problem from Strata Scratch and added my own data here. And let's get started. We have a user streaks table with user ID and date visited. We have to find top 3 users with longest continuous streak visiting the platform as of Jan 10th, 2024. The output should have ID and the length of the streak. In case of a tie, display all the users with top 3 longest streaks. Since they mentioned display all the users, we have to use a dense rank here. And let's get started with the actual query. How is that we are going to solve it? So for this continuous streak problem, in my other video, I have mentioned we have to use a row number approach. And if we take a close look at the date visited here, that row number approach will not be applicable here because this date visited is unique at the user ID level, which means for the user ID 1, he has a date visited of Jan 1st. And if we see for user ID 7, we have again a date visited of Jan 1st. So if we use a row number approach, we will not be getting the exact numbers for the date visited. So we have to go with the rank approach. So what kind of rank function we have to use? Dense rank or the normal rank? If we use a normal rank, for the date of Jan 1st, we'll get a rank of 1 here and even 1 here. But for Jan 2, it will directly go to 3 because that's the rank function. So we have to use a dense rank so that none of the numbers are skipped. So let's get started. Select user ID and dense rank over order by date visited, and let's call this as R1. And the other rank or the other row number we have to calculate is on the user ID itself. So here we can just take the row number approach because that's unique for the user ID. So for this user ID, we have 3 dates here. So our row number should be able to produce 1, 2 and 3. So we can directly go with the row number approach. I'll just use the row number over partition by user ID order by date visited. Let's call this as R2. Let's do an order by user ID. Yeah, so for user ID 1, we have R1 as 1 and R2 as 1. And we have all the values for the other users. So the approach here is if we subtract R1 and R2, we should be able to get some numbers here. And if we can just group by on that number, we should be able to get the continuous streak for the users. So in this example, U1 it has 0, 0, 0, which means all the date visited for user 1, they fall under same group, which means they are in the continuous streak. So we should be able to find the groups based on this approach. And if we take the example here for the user 2, 5 minus 1 gives us 4, 6 minus 2 gives us 4, 7 minus 3 gives 4. All 4s belong to same group, which means user 2, he has 3 continuous streaks there. So let's see how we are going to put that in the query. Select. Yeah. So instead of having the separate ranks, if I can just subtract these two here, let's see the output. Yeah. So for user ID 1, we have 3 continuous streaks. User ID 2, we have 4. And user ID 3 we have 4 here, and user ID 2 we have 3. All we have to do now is do a group by And user id 7, we have 0 and 0 here, and even on u1 we have 0 and 0. But if we can just do a group by on the user, we should be able to get the count. So let's do a user id and get the count star from the group by user id. So now we have the counts of the continuous streak. So let's just take an example of u1 here. He has 3 continuous streaks here. Let me just run the user streaks one more time. So user id 1, he has 3 continuous streaks. That is what we have seen in this output. But if you see here, we have a condition where the visiting date as of Jan 10th. So I have to just give some filter condition here where date visited should be less than 2024 Jan 10th. So now we have all the continuous streaks. All we have to do is get the top 3. So in order to get top 3, we have to do a rank function here, but we have to use a dense rank here. I'll just call this as continuous streak and then use a dense rank function. I'll just call this as Rn. Yeah, so now user 3, he has a continuous streak of 4, which is rank 1 here, and user 7, he has a continuous streak of 2, which is rank 3 here. All we have to do is just filter with that rank. So select user id and then continuous streak, where our Rn is less than or equal to 3, which matches with our expected output. Thank you for watching this video.